Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am doing the station categorization grid. I made it up myself. It's a 10-point grid of stations. In case you didn't know, that most of you won't unless you know me personally, I really like trains. You know, the other day my mum was driving us somewhere and I said, "Don't go round at that junction, you'll derail, the tracks don't go there." But obviously it was a road, so it doesn't matter where you go. Well, as long as it's in the restrictions. But anyway, first I've got to mention, thank you so much for the support on the video about Lottie. She's a dog, so she doesn't really know, but it went really successful and, well, for a first video. Well, it wasn't the first video, but the first video that's around today, still. Okay, so, grade 1, 2 and 3 are all the same, just different levels of the same thing. Oh, I'll make my Fitbit stop. Okay, so it is multi-line station. That means multiple lines run through the station. That means 2 or more. So it could be a main line or a branch line or a mix. Still multi-line. Does it have to be a terminus? Then most of them are. Okay. So grade 1, category 1, is 10 plus platforms. So if you see me looking behind the camera there, that it's because I've got a sheet with the grid on just for references. But so York has 11 platforms. That's a grade 1 station. Leeds has 17. London King's Cross has 12. So they're all local stations to me, apart from the one in London, obviously, but that's the station that the new Azuma trains go to, from Harrogate to London. And I got one more that isn't accessible for us. If we went to London, we would use King's Cross, obviously, but I just had to mention it because it's Waterloo, and it's got the most platforms in the whole of the railway network in Great Britain. It has 24 platforms that I think is quite astounding. If there's more stations like that, or more stations are built like that, or extra platforms are added, it will probably be 10 plus. It will probably be 20 plus is 1, 10 plus is 2, and 1 plus is 3. But there's not many like that, so that's why it's 10 or more. And then grade 2 is between 5 and 9 platforms. So examples that Blackpool North, that's got 6 platforms. So has Manchester, Victoria. And then obviously grade 3, we've got my own station, Harrogate, which has 3 platforms. You have Manchester Oxford Street, that has 4. Firsk has 2. And Church Fenton has 4. Okay, so there are some examples. And then category 4 is a bit different. So you have, that is a mainline terminus. No, it's quite challenging because most mainline terminus have more platforms. So that's why. I did find one example that I think there was another line, but that wasn't strictly between the platforms. It was kind of outside the platforms in a kind of yardy bit. So I don't think it counts. I'm sure there are somewhere though, some proper ones that are just 2 lines without any sidings at all. But I couldn't find any like that. Even Skipton station. Alright, so I think it was Holyhead in Anglesby in Wales. Alright, and then grade 5. That is any mainline stop that isn't multi-line, obviously. So for that one, I picked out Kirkstall, Ford and Crossgates. By the way, if you didn't know, they're both in Leeds, that's the nearest city. Maybe Ripon is, but actually Harrogate's bigger than Ripon, so it doesn't really count. And then grade 6, if you hadn't already guessed, is a branch line stop. So, branch line terminus, I mean. So, Horses and Knaresborough Pit, they're both on the Harrogate line. Harrogate would be one of them if they didn't have another line wedged between the platforms. And another platform. I don't know if the platforms are on both lines. Oh, doesn't matter anyway. So, yeah. And then grade 7, so the main line is a branch line stop. So I just picked the two other stations in Harrogate, because Harrogate's quite a big place. Hornbeam Park is a grade 7, and Starbeck's a grade 7. I also picked Panel, because that's like the nearest village, so Panel's also a grade 7. Okay, and then 8 and 9 are basically the same, apart from the first 8 main line and the second one's branch line, and they're halts. I mean, we don't use the term in England anymore, but I still do, so that's why. So now these are quite hard to pronounce, so let me just get the scrap of paper I wrote everything on. So I found one in Wales. It's Panmamar, something like that. You might think, but people from other countries that isn't England or Wales might think, but you live in Britain. England and Wales, even though they're right next to each other and have the same queen and the same parliament, they have very different accents. So that's why. And then you have Yorton, and finally the Yorton. Okay, so they're the two main line, and then the number 9 that I found was one called the Lakes. Sounds a bit weird, I know, but I found it. And then finally, we have for grade 10, tourist attractions. So any station that is only on for certain days for tourist purposes, like Manchester United Football Stadium, and obviously, so I don't know if it's called that, that's why I didn't include it. But the ones I did include was Goathland and Pickering from the North York Moors Railway. That's my favourite steam railway in the whole of England. And then obviously Bolton Abbey, that's probably the nearest tourist stop to us. That's also on a steam railway. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was a bit long, I'm really sorry. There's going to be lots more interesting videos about trains coming up. I think I'm going to do a few train documentaries. I'm going to do one on the Harrogate line, which is a line from Leeds to York via Harrogate, obviously. And then the Wharfdale line, probably, that's a line from Leeds and Bradford to Ilkley. So anyway, this is Ralph, and I'll see you in the next video.